We are just 4 days away from kickoff between the Denver Broncos and the Tennessee Titans to lead us into the 2025 season. And on Tuesday, the Denver Broncos put out their first official depth chart. Official. We'll talk about how official it is here of the 2025 season. All right, we're going to take a look into that. If you haven't gone and watched the Cam Ward's worst nightmare is awaiting him for week one, go earlier in the week, watch that video as I talk about the historical data, recent history, and the type of challenge that Cam Ward is facing. I think you're going to like that. But also, I thought there was 3 or 4 interesting things that came out of this official depth chart, starting with wide receiver number 2. It is Marvin Mims on paper. Guys, I would caution you, do not put a lot of stock into what it says on the depth chart, all right? This is going to be very much a wide receiver by committee approach when talking about wide receiver opposite Courtland Sutton, all right? Not in terms of where they're actually lining up, but in terms of the target share and production week to week for the Denver Broncos. It's going to be some sort of combination of Marvin Mims, of course, who had a great back half of the games a year ago, the last 7 games of the year ago. He was on a 1,000-yard pace. Mims was. So he's obviously going to get a healthy dose of targets. But also Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant. I could see a scenario where those guys are revolving week in and week out from a target share and production standpoint. And keep your eye on Trent Sherfield. There's going to be a Sunday or 2. Trent Sherfield, who was brought in here mostly as a special teams guy that really started to emerge as a pass catcher throughout the summer and even in preseason games. Don't be surprised if there's a Sunday or 2 where it's Trent Sherfield as the second leading wide receiver to Courtland Sutton. Not a lot, but it also wouldn't shock me. And then also, I think we need to rewire our thinking here in Denver in terms of wide receiver number 2. Does it actually have to be a wide receiver? The Broncos haven't had a tight end like Evan Ingram around here in about 10 years. The team was hoping it was Noah Fant once upon a time, hoping it was Greg Dulcich once upon a time. But Evan Ingram is a known commodity. And being out there at training camp every single day the way that I was, it was incredible to see Evan Ingram not even participate in individual tight end drills and only work with wide receivers. So it's been a while since the likes of Julius Thomas and a few others, but we probably need to rewire our thinking. So wide receiver number 2 is gonna transfer from someone like Mims, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Evan Ingram to go with that rewiring. So just keep that in mind here as you look at that official depth chart for the first time. Also, J.K. Dobbins listed as the official starter. No shock to me at all. Dobbins got the first carry every single training camp practice the entire summer. All right, and I know Sean Payton is excited about his new toy, R.J. Harvey. Told John Gruden that he's going to touch the football 700 times this year. All right, obviously a little hyperbolic there, but don't be shocked if J.K. Dobbins is closer to, I'm not going to say bell cow, but a more of a definitive 1A running back. This is a proven veteran since coming into the league, top 3 in terms of NFL running backs in yards per carry since coming into the NFL. Problem is, you know, like I do, J.K. Dobbins can never stay healthy. But until he does get hurt, it would not shock me if he is getting the lion's share of these carries. R.J. Harvey is not accustomed to running between the tackles. He's going to have to do that here at the NFL level. He struggled with that dynamic a little bit in preseason. 69%, this is an incredible stat, 69% of R.J. Harvey's carries at Central Florida went to the outside, whether they were designed to the outside or he was intending on running between the tackles and bounced it out to the outside. That is a really imbalanced type of ratio here that's not going to fly in the NFL, where the talent level is just a little bit more even and you don't have that sort of edge over these guys, you know, getting to that edge, if you will. So don't be surprised, again, if Dobbins is the definitive starter until he's not. All right, whether RJ really comes on, which I don't necessarily forecast because of some of the dynamics that we were just talking about. But also, Dobbins is just more of a veteran, and Sean trusts veterans. Not that Harvey's not going to be sprinkled in every single Sunday, because he will. But don't be surprised if the discrepancy is a little bit larger between running backs 1 and 2 than we maybe would have anticipated or forecasted earlier in the summer. I also thought it was interesting that it was Jaleel McLaughlin who was listed as the 4th running back behind Tyler Bidet. All right. You could maybe reasonably say that if they were to keep only 3 running backs, it would have been Jaleel that would have been on the chopping block. Obviously, you don't have to worry about that. They keep 4, all right, and keep just 5 wide receivers as opposed to 6. So you don't have to worry about that dynamic. But I did think that was an interesting takeaway for me personally as we watched that room sort of jockey for position all summer long. And then also, and this might have been, for me personally, maybe the most surprising is that on the first official depth chart for the Denver Broncos, week 1 here, it was Jaquan McMillan as the starting nickel cornerback and not first-round pick out of Texas, Jahdae Barron. I've been going back and forth with my co-host on 104.3 The Fan, Philip Lindsay, for over a month about this dynamic. And Philip has been steadfastly saying, Jaquan McMillan is your better option to start the season. If it's about getting off to a fast start, which Sean Payton has emphasized, you have to go with the guy who has spent more time on task, and that's Jaquan McMillan. All right, this guy's a good football player. In the final year of his contract, had a bit of a down year a season ago, and enough of a down year where the Broncos would go into the draft and say, you want to know what? We're gonna double down, triple down on the cornerback position, but I'm not going to say confusing, but I have just been of the mindset that the first rounder is going to play. The first rounder that you called the crystal, that you were not going to walk past a crystal and grab a blender, because this guy was so important and so polished that you had to take him even though it wasn't a pressing position of need. And that guy's not going to start week 1 against Tennessee. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about this, even though we're just a couple days out from the game and the team is telling you what the order of operations is going to be at the cornerback position. I still look at it just a little bit skeptically of like, are you sure the first rounder is not going to play? Are you sure? Right? And it's one of these things where I'm thawing out to the idea that Jaquan McMillan could be the starting nickel. And look, they're all going to play a lot, right? But I have been hesitant and almost resistant to the idea that it would be J-Mac over Jahdae Barron. Here we are a couple days out. The team, Sean Payton, is telling you that's what's going to happen. Will that be the case on game day against Tennessee? We are fixing to find out, as Gary Kubiak once famously said. So those are just a couple takeaways from the first official depth chart of the Broncos season. Kickoff just a couple days away. Guys, thank you for being here on my YouTube page. Going to be posting content pretty much daily here from here moving forward, talking all things Denver sports, but especially this fall, a hyper emphasis on the football side of things with the Broncos, the Buffs, or even the CSU Rams. Guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.